You better don't have your windows at your back, please.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of light coming from behind. Can barely see you.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So we are all growing hair. You're removing all the hair. It seems.
Yeah, because of Corona and COVID-19. I don't want Corona to sit on my head.
Not on your beard either, right?
While
Great.
everybody is sporting the Modi look, Dad is going with the Shakar look.
But why are the cameras on for all?
Yeah, because we are just introducing everyone, each other.
Yeah, Haresh's camera is not on.
Huh?
Haresh, who spoke just now, I don't see his camera on.
Nah, his camera is on. I can see him very well.
Can you?
Yeah.
I'm not able to. I don't know why.
I'm not able to see.
I don't see you. Shashi, you're not seen. You're just the initials have been shown on the video. So, anyways, I think
I think these little issues which we will be looking at in today's webinar. That's the whole idea having this webinar, that we all have been getting into webinars, but we face these kind of issues where we are not able to see somebody, we are not able to hear something, we are not able to see the screen, and that is the whole idea of having this webinar today.
Oh, so it's your look.
Okay.
right.
So I believe we have a lot of people. Haresh Bhai has introduced himself. We have Sanjeev Bhai also here. Mr. Sanjeev Parekh is also a very good friend. Sanjeev Bhai, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Deepak.
I believe Sanjeev Bhai is on mute yet. Who would like to introduce themselves? Chintan Bhai, Chintan Shet. There is another Chintan in plumbing also. And there's a lot of confusion which happens in my office all the time. Chintan Bhai, why don't you introduce yourself?
I know.
Yeah, myself Chintan Seth. I'm the general partner for the Italian company named Office in Brigamonti. It's also known for OR Italy. They are manufacturing pressure reducing valves, ball valves, strainers, all the things, and HVAC valves also, like the thermostatic mixing valve, automatic feeders, and everything. And we recently joined with the German company who are also manufacturing the water saving aerators, Neoval, and associated with Kitec pipes. Thank you.
Awesome, Chintan Bhai. Thank you very much for your introduction. I see one of my very good friends, Varun Tandon, is also here from the Indian Plumbing Sector Skill Council. Varun, would you take a minute to introduce yourself?
Sorry, I have that call.
Yeah, sir.
Very good, Varun. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. I'll just quickly introduce myself. Hi, everybody. My name is Varun Tandon. I'm the Senior Vice President at Indian Plumbing Skills Council. We work under the aegis of Ministry of Skill Development and NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation. And basically what we're involved with is the formalization of skilling ecosystem for the plumbing sector. Chintan's also playing a very, very active role as the expert for plumbing and heating in World Skills Competition, and obviously is on our technical teams as well.
Thank you, Varun. Thanks for the introduction. Even one very good tutor and a very good plumbing person I know, Bill Pramod, is also here. Pramodji, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi Chintan. Hi everybody. My name is Pramod, and as Chintan described, I'm a professional from plumbing, and now I'm into MEP. So I'm currently with Sterling Wilson, and I'm heading the design team there.
Awesome. Thank you, Pramodji.
Pramod was my close to, we were classmates when we did our PEAK program, right, Pramod?
Yeah. The very first sort of.
Yeah, we also have Mr. Devendra Shetty, who I always, whenever I have something to discuss about hot water, I call him up. Devendra ji, please introduce yourself.
Hello everybody, I'm Devendra Shetty from Aries Industries. We are into renewable energy sector for last 17, 18 years now, mainly solar water heaters and solar rooftop systems. We are based out here in Lower Parel and we have done very good projects for last 17, 18 years now. And we are distributors for record all products, solar, electric, gas, heat pump, all products. Thank you to be associated with Deepak Bhai and Chintan. Thank you.
Thank you, Devendra ji. Thank you so much. We also have Mr. Jaideep Shroff, if I'm not mistaken, architect Jaideep Shroff. Would you please introduce yourself? Jaideep ji, please introduce yourself. I see you have unmuted, but your voice is not coming through. Okay, we'll move on to the next one till then. Mr. Tushar Lokre also has joined us from True Flow Hindware. Tushar ji, please introduce yourself.
Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Tushar Lokre. I'm working as General Manager for Business Development with TrueFlow by Hindware. We are one of the manufacturers for PVC pipes, including CPVC, UPVC, and all. Just 2 years back only, Hindware has forayed into this plumbing sector. We are looking for a wonderful business opportunity in time to come, and this is how Hindware has entered into plumbing sector. I'm happy to get connected with this group and Tech Savvy group. A lot of learnings are there. A lot of people share their experiences. It's a wonderful learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tusharji. Thank you very much. I believe we have covered most of the. Okay, there's one. There's Mr. Shekhar. Shekhar, please introduce yourself. Mr. Shekhar, please introduce yourself. Mr. Shekhar, can you hear me? Okay, so I believe almost everybody is here. Mr. Sahil Kansal has been trying to connect from Chandigarh, but I believe he's not able to connect and he's constantly getting disconnected. Anyway, so I think with this limited group that we have right now, we'll start. And as people keep joining in, we'll also have a smaller introduction section in the end if new people join in. So do I have the permission to start?
Please go.
Thank you.
Go for it, sir.
Okay. So let's just start with this wonderful PowerPoint presentation I made. Okay, first let me welcome you all. And typically in a webinar, it is always a good idea to let people know what they are expecting. Whenever it starts, it's always a good idea to have an introductory slide of this kind, where you can always tell them that when are we planning to start, whether this webinar is going to be recorded and will it be shared later on. Because many a times I've seen, yesterday I was attending a webinar in which many people were asking questions as in, Will this slideshow be shared? Can the video of this webinar be available? So here I made it very clear that we will be sharing this webinar on a video. The question and answers can also be done in chat. We have a very interactive WhatsApp group as well. And we can also have question and answers at the end of the session. And I kindly request you that you please do share your feedback on our WhatsApp group at the end of this session. So typically, conducting a webinar is more of a business continuity using our online tools that are available to us. There is a hell lot of platform available. There's a lot of software available out there. So we'll just look at some of them today. So introducing myself in any webinar, not only a webinar, in any presentation also, it's always a good idea to introduce yourself. Not everybody may be knowing you. So yes, here almost everybody knows me. It's been like a family. And I'm the fourth generation belonging to a family dedicated to plumbing. My personal experience is around 25 years in design and execution. And of course, I've been passionate about plumbing, and I'm very active with many professional bodies nationally and internationally. And the one currently I'm very much active is the Indian Plumbing Skill Association, and I'm also the national expert for the World Skills India. So today what we are going to discuss is just in 5 parts. The first part is what kind of tools are available to us when it comes to conducting webinars and holding online meetings. The second part is the pros and cons of that. I hope everybody can see the screen well. The third part is presenter. Okay, the third part is presenter etiquettes. The fourth part is attendee etiquettes. And the last eventually will conclude the session. So like we've heard a lot of names swinging around, flowing around. The first one we've heard the most is Zoom. This is the most popular webinar tool today. Everybody is getting webinar invitations. In most cases, it is Zoom. Then you have Microsoft Teams, which is a part of the Microsoft Office. Further to that, you have Google Meet, which has also jumped into the webinar market. They had tools earlier known like Hangouts and Duo and all those things, but now they have given a full-fledged Google Meet package. The next one is GoToMeeting. This is one of the oldest players in online meetings. In fact, couple of years back, or even before that, when I used to conduct most of my webinars, when I had to interact with a lot of state skill councils for the world skills, it would be difficult to travel to all of these states and all of these different government bodies or skill councils. So we would most of the times hold our webinars on GoToMeetings, and it used to save a lot of time in travel and logistics as well. And then the last one is WebEx, which is by Cisco, which is the biggest name when it comes to networking. So now coming to the pros and cons of each tool one by one. So Zoom is the first tool we will talk about, the benefits and the disadvantages that Zoom offers. Currently, this is the most popular platform, hence it is used by many. Almost everybody have the Zoom app installed on their phone. But in recent times, it has been banned by many governments, including the government of India, government of Singapore, Korea, Taiwan. Many countries have been banning it. Corporations like NASA, Tesla, SpaceX have also been banning it for security issues. It allows 100 users simultaneously to log in and interact on a free account. And the best part of Zoom is that you can see multiple people's faces at the same time. Unlike what we are facing right now on Microsoft Teams, you could not see everybody so easily. But the only problem with the free account is that it only allows you 40 minutes. And if there are more than 2 users, it just restricts you to 40 minutes. So if you plan to have a longer session, it's always better to go for a paid version, which costs something around 1,500 to 200 Indian rupees per month. Video recording is available of the complete online meeting like we are doing it right now as well, and you can share it later on. And this is also available on the free account. But it needs Google sign-in every time you want to schedule meetings. So every time you schedule, it'll take you to your Google page. You need to sign in again and then schedule it. So which is a drawback in itself. Easy scheduling is possible, of course, even in a free account. So unlike the other tools which we'll be talking about, this allows you very easily scheduling a meeting. But it also forces you to download an application even on a PC or a laptop. It only allows you a web interface login in case of an emergency. If your application does not load properly, only then it gives you the backdoor entry through a web interface. The tools include screen sharing, whiteboard, screen annotation, chat boxes, etc. While these tools are really good and it's a big plethora of tools, I've seen my kids complaining at times when they attend their online classrooms. Many teachers forget to turn off these tools for the attendees. So many kids also take up the screen annotation and just scribble whatever they feel like these days. So that's really strange. So the tools are on by default, as I said, and hence allows for mischief by attendees. And if the attendees are really young kids or teenagers, you can have a hell breaking loose out there. And it allows you virtual reactions, like if you're in a meeting and you do not want to speak in between, you just press a button of raise hand, or you can just send a thumbs up, like those kind of things. It allows virtual reactions. But it does not have a dial-in facility for India. It does not have a dial-in number. In case you have a net connectivity issue and you want to get into the meeting using a phone, you cannot do that since there is no Indian local number available to dial in. So that's Zoom for all of us. The next one we're going to talk about is Microsoft Teams, which we are currently using. So this is a part of the Microsoft Office suite and hence integrates very well with Windows. My personal experience has been good with Microsoft Teams and I prefer it most of the times. But it can be difficult to set up for novice users. So for the first time, in fact, when even I was installing it, I consider myself a little advanced than a novice user, not a very advanced person in computers, but yeah, I consider myself a little above novice. But even I found it difficult to set it up the first time, and I had to go around checking the manuals and everything. So it's a little difficult to set up for the first time. It has a very good web interface available for PC and laptop. So if you're using on a laptop or anything, you do not need to download an application separately. But yes, the app is necessary for the mobile phone. This is a little hindrance when it comes to these webinars these days. Everybody uses their own platform, and eventually your phones are filling up with all different types of apps. On my phone itself, I have GoToMeeting, I have the Microsoft Teams app, I have Zoom app, I have WebEx app. So it's a little difficult at times when you're low on space on your phone. Also, the problem with Microsoft Teams is that it can crash on low internet bandwidth. So I believe we are lucky that we do not have a low internet bandwidth today, so it's not going to crash for sure. It allows up to 250 simultaneous attendees with no time limit, even on a free account. If you have a paid account, a premium account, you could also record meetings on that. Only problem here is that you can only see 4 attendees in focus for video calls. As I'm sure we all saw in the start of this when we were all introducing each other, we could only see 4 faces at the most on the screen. It has WhatsApp-like chat and cloud-based file sharing in the application and web interface itself. So you could just keep this app and use this for your office purposes also, where you could chat with your teams. Exactly the reason why this is called Teams. And it can get heavy on a presenter's device with large number of users. So if you're presenting using a mobile phone or a low-end computer, it can really slow down the process. It allows the creation of multiple meeting rooms, which can be reused multiple times. So right now, as we've created this link, which is the Tech Savvy group, we do not need to generate a new link for the next meeting we need. The link will always remain the same. The next time, all you have to do is, whenever we are having the next webinar scheduled, you just have to click on the same link again, and you will be back in this room in the meeting. So there's no separate link like Zoom, which creates a separate ID which needs to be put in, separate numbers need to be put in. That does not happen here. The interface can be difficult for new users to understand at times. And the tools includes virtual backgrounds, whiteboards, screen sharing, etc. So right now, even the background that you must have seen in my video is virtual, which is not actually where I'm sitting. So that allows these kind of tools. Again, in this case also, You do not have any dial-in number available for India. The nearest number available is a Dubai number, a Gulf number which you can dial in and which might really turn out expensive. The next one which we'll talk about is Google Meet. This is one of my favorites. This is very nice actually. This is a part of the Google package, and you can use it right out of the box using your Gmail or Google account. Who does not have a Gmail account? Who does not have a Google account today? You just use your Google account, go to the website, and you're ready to go. Though it's so easy out of the box, it has a limited number of tools for presentations. It has a very good web interface available for PC or the laptop. And of course, you need to have the app for the mobile, but there's also backdoor entry using Google Chrome on mobile itself. So you can always bypass the app also. You really do not need an app. Just use your mobile phone on Google Chrome, say that you want the desktop site, and you can open Google Meet's web interface. The biggest problem here, it is only free for a limited period. It is available only till September 2020. So they've been kind enough that they've made it free for the coronavirus period. But then yes, the subscription of Google Meets is not so expensive, but a little more higher as compared to the other two we spoke about, Microsoft Teams and Zoom. This comes up to around 2,500 to 3,000 Indian rupees per month. It does an instant meeting ID generation. The moment you log onto the website and hit start meeting, it instantly generates the ID, and same ID can be used multiple times. Scheduling multiple meetings is cumbersome. So if, for example, we wanted to schedule meetings for our tech savvy group or your personal office work, you would need to log into your Google Calendar account, start a new meeting. I don't even know many people who actually use the Google Calendar web interface. So here, Google is trying to push you and say, okay, go to Google Calendar, create a new meeting, and then you can come back to the Google Meets. It has a call me feature, which calls up the attendee at the meeting time. So you just say that, you're having a meeting at 5 o'clock today. You say, okay, call me whenever the meeting starts. So it will just give you an incoming call on your phone, and you're right in the meeting. But again, this is only limited to US and Canada. All users get presentation options open, hence can be difficult to control. So one of the meetings which I attended on Google Meet was by one of our very famous associations, where most of the users were not conversant of the interface and accidentally used to hit present, and they would end up presenting their phone screens rather than the actual presenter. So this was really kind of funny that the presenter was getting bugged. Boss, मैं presenter हूँ इधर यार, आप लोग क्यों अपना phone दिखा रहे हो? So it's a little difficult with Google Meets in this case. This allows up to 250 simultaneous attendees with no time limit. And it has a direct link access only. So the link which is generated, you use that and log in. It has no password protection. So even in Zoom, initially what was happening that you had something known as Zoom bombing. Once if somebody had your link, anybody could log in and miscreants could create mischief in your meeting. So this is the case with Google Meet also currently. But the best part is it has a very simple user interface and very easy to use. And like all the other platforms, it has a lot of countries available, but again, no dial-in facility available for India. So if you had to use your phone and get into the meeting, you still cannot. The nearest country available on Google is Singapore. GoToMeetings, as I said, this is one of the oldest platforms. It has evolved over the years and it offers a variety of tools. There is a hell lot of tools on GoToMeeting. You could just go crazy just browsing through the tools which it has. But the presenter sometimes needs to reload for all tools to be available. So sometimes when you just log in, you will see the tools are available, but you keep on clicking the buttons, they will still not work. So you'll probably have to go back, log out, log in again, and then it would start working. It offers tools like recurring meetings and poll questions. So if you have like 200 people attending your meeting, 100 people attending your meeting, you would not be able to ask everybody to interact with you at the same time. So you could create polls with yes and no question answers, those kind of things, and it will give you feedback that way. but it requires a higher bandwidth as compared to other platforms. So you probably, if you need 2 Mbps for normal platforms, here you would require something around 6 Mbps to 8 Mbps. It has a web interface available for PC and laptop, but again, here an app is required for the mobile. This thing also I faced a lot many a times in GoToMeeting is when I start to go into a meeting particularly, and it's if the meeting is say scheduled for 5 o'clock, I join at 4:59. A pop-up will come and tell me there is an update available and you need to update. So here, GoToMeeting has a very funny policy that you need to compulsorily update before joining a meeting whenever it's made available. Here also in this case, you can have same meeting ID and it can be used multiple times. So you generate one meeting ID and you could reuse it again and again, like in our group. It requires a stable net connectivity. Otherwise, it creates a lot of technical glitches. Here also, it allows up to 250 simultaneous attendees. And on the free account, it allows you 40 minutes. This too is parallel to Zoom when it comes to pricing for premium accounts. So if you go for a premium account, it comes to around 1200 to 1500 Indian rupees per month. Here the benefit is you can have a customizable link. You could give the link whatever name you like and send it out. So it's a co-branded link. And you can also have a meeting room theme, particularly whatever colors you like or whatever kind of icons you like, you could use there. Again, it has no dial-in facility for India. Last one, WebEx. This is something which I have used very less, but whatever I could understand from WebEx is that the problem, the best part is it integrates with many Cisco networking hardware. You must have seen in some of these big corporate offices, they have those nice big flashy web conferencing cameras in their conference rooms of Cisco. They have huge screens. So it integrates very well with those hardware. That is also a downside to it because it prefers using that legacy hardware of Cisco for a better performance. So if you really want a good performance on WebEx, you really need to use most of their expensive hardware. It also has tools like polls and opinion boards and discussion forums, but it has very limited virtual tools. So if I needed to use a whiteboard using my pen, a digital pen on the screen, I could not do that. I would really have to buy a Cisco whiteboard, which could cost a few lakhs, and that would present on the webinar. So that's really expensive investment in that case. It has a web and app interface available for the PC and laptop. But again, an app is must for the mobile. If you want to use the WebEx on your mobile, you'll need to have the app. It allows only maximum 25 users concurrently on a free account. Again, the same meeting ID can be used for multiple times. It is as popular as it may be for corporate offices and big corporates, but it is not a very popular solution for work from home scenarios like small businessmen like us. It integrates very well with corporate clouds. Some companies have huge corporate accounts with cloud companies, so this integrates very well with them. But here you need to sign up separately. It does not. You cannot use your Google account or a Microsoft or a Facebook login and create an account automatically on WebEx. You need to create a new account all in itself if you want to present something using WebEx. It has a robust customer support though in India, and it has a local toll-free number. So they have a toll-free number whenever you're stuck or anything. They have a very good customer support. Obviously, they need to have that because when they're going to give you really expensive hardware to use, they better give you good customer support as well. Again, no meeting dial-in facility for India, even though they have a lot of features of toll-free support and everything, but they still do not have dial-in facility for India. So these were basically the pros and cons of all the different types of platforms available. Let's now move on to the next thing, which is when you are going to present, how do you go ahead and do a webinar? Before presenting, what are the things that need to be kept in mind?
Chintan, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, please.
Chintan, first of all, I'm not able to chat on this online chat because I think as a team member, team owner has to make you a member or something.
Right, I believe that has been left out, and that's
Yeah, so
my
I'm
bad.
not able to
But yeah,
send a chat
feel
note.
free to ask questions here or in the WhatsApp group also, no problem.
My question was, I mean, there are a lot of Indian apps which have been floating around on WhatsApp again,
Correct.
like Namaste and all. I don't know whether they are really relevant, whether anyone has used it. What is your idea on that?
Yeah, see, what I've tried to do here also here is that I've covered companies which I have been around for a while and which are really, big names in the industry like Cisco and Google and Microsoft. Of course, I'm not saying that Indian startups are lagging behind, but then personally, I've had no experience using any Indian app as yet because they just popped up overnight the day it was known that Zoom is not a good solution. So,
Yeah,
um,
okay, I got
um,
it.
but then, yeah, I could do probably I could research. That's a very good idea, and I'll play around with some of those Indian apps also, and soon give a feedback on Tech Savvy.
Great, great.
Have you got any idea? Has anybody else got an idea using any of these Indian softwares or applications and would like to share something here? Okay, I believe nobody has. So that's a good idea. We'll do some tinkering around, and I'm sure we can interact on Tech Savvy on that again. So moving on. So before presenting in a webinar, of course, it's pretty much similar and different at the same time. So before presenting in a webinar, always run a mock trial of the platform you intend to use and get conversant with the interface. So right now, what happened is I was conversant with all the facts and everything, but even again in the settings, I forgot to turn on the chat box, and that's the reason why you could not send me a chat message. So a mock trial is always a good idea. Always check your internet speed and stability by visiting fast.com or speedtest.com. Any speed beyond 2 Mbps is recommended. Anything less than that will probably create a lot of lag, a lot of jittery videos, breakup in sound. So it's always good to check your internet speed and stability by visiting any of these websites. Avoid using a mobile and prefer using a PC for getting the complete user experience and better audience control. So whenever you're presenting, I've seen many people still prefer presenting from a mobile phone, but I have never been very comfortable with that because you need to swap between a lot of screens to get control. So it's always a good idea using a PC or a laptop.
Then I also have one suggestion here.
Uh-huh.
Because when you were presenting, I'm seeing this presentation on my mobile, and in between there were 3 phone calls. There was some WhatsApp attack and whatnot. So yeah, you're right that we should use PC only.
Right. And it's always good to schedule the meeting well in advance to share the link. So whoever the attendees are, they can always pre-schedule the webinar, and if they're interested in that. So it's always good to pre-schedule it and share the link. You can always enable and disable the features for the attendees at this stage itself in the meeting settings. So this is what I had done 3 days back, and during that scheduling, I probably forgot to turn on the chat box. So again, I apologize for that. And always make sure to check the functionality of all your headsets, microphones, and cameras. Ensure all devices are charged. You do not want to be running around during your webinar. अरे यार laptop charge नहीं किया है, charger किधर है, या mobile charge नहीं किया है किधर है. So always make sure that they are charged and they are all functioning correctly. While presenting, what is important is during presentation, always be presentable. We all know we are at home. Everybody is working from home, but the kind of perception that I have about many people out here, I do not want that to be shattered by seeing them in a very different avatar. So always be presentable when you're presenting. Always introduce yourself when you start presenting. Like I did, you saw there was a slide where I introduced myself. Of course, don't make it too long. Let the presentation speak for itself. And just as you would present in front of any live audience, choose a location in your house where there will be no disturbances. As you can see in this image, this poor lady is sitting on a laptop while the husband is taking care of the kid behind. So making sure that there are no disturbances during the presentation, and try to keep the background as neutral as you can. You do not want to your audience, your attendees to be seeing everything that's going on inside your house. And as a presenter, keep your camera on. People want to see you as well when you're presenting. Prefer using a Bluetooth or a wired headset with a dedicated microphone to avoid ambient noises. So if you could always use your camera, your laptop or your mobile microphone, but that will create a lot of unnecessary surrounding noises, ambient noises to go in, which can be a little unpleasant for the attendees. Continuing while presenting, unlike actual presentations, remember to turn on screen sharing, turn it on and off during and after the presentation. As challenging as it may be, disruptions by attendees need to be controlled. A separate host should manage this while the presenter continues undisturbed. So again, I was talking about one of these webinars which I had attended where the outsiders where the attendees were presenting their screens. So there was no host per se in this webinar. And so it's always a good idea that a host manages attendees, lets them log in, log out, present questions, while the presenter himself is a separate person. So which is what we will be eventually doing in these tech savvy sessions, which will happen where many of you will be presenting your expertise, your papers on that, while I will host it. So you do not have to worry about who came in, who went out. People are constantly disturbing. So I'll just make sure that who has to be muted, who has to be unmuted. So that's always a good idea. For many people, webinars is something very new. And, the older generation, even though in our group, we are all very tech savvy, but in many groups, I've seen the younger generation and older generation both find it difficult to understand mute kya hai, unmute kya hai, kaise karna hai. So they just unintentionally end up creating disturbances. So it's always better to politely ask these attendees to please unmute their microphones or mute their microphones so that they do not create any disturbances. What is also equally important is the etiquettes that attendees should have. The attendees also need to understand when I'm presenting a paper or when you'll be presenting a paper, you will also expect that the attendees do this. So the attendees should always check their internet speed also before joining the meeting, again by visiting fast.com or speedtest.net. Here too, again, a speed about 2 Mbps is ideal so that you also get a better experience. You can see the videos, you can see the slides going on properly. Ensure that your camera, microphone, and speakers are also working properly beforehand. Always sit facing the light and not having a light in the background. So this is what happened in the start of this session. We had someone sitting with having the window behind them. The light was just coming right from behind the window, and all you could see was the silhouette of this person, and there was just a glare of the window. So always ideal that you sit facing the light so people can see you easily. The next point is very important. Do not intercommunicate. This was one webinar very recently which I had attended. There were people intercommunicating within themselves, within their local language in Gujarati. Are maru mute nathi thatu, kevi rite karu chhe. And this is this looks very unprofessional on your part as an attendee. Eventually, the speaker, the presenter also feels discouraged that, oh man, I've put up such a wonderful thing and people are just communicating within themselves. This is not a conventional seminar where you can whisper into each other's ears. So do not intercommunicate within yourselves when the presentation is going on. More etiquettes mean that you need to prefer using a PC again over a mobile to get the best user experience, as just said that he's attending on a mobile phone and he had to have those attend to those WhatsApp pop-ups and get those calls. So you will not enjoy the experience on a mobile phone any day. Always better to use your laptop or a PC. Never eat or drink in front of the camera. It is not a very good idea. I have been in certain seminars also, while during the seminar, drinks have started and people are like, "Arey, mere ko whiskey do, ye do." So it does not feel really good. It feels demeaning to the presenter. Yeah, the snacks are going around in a seminar. So the same applies to a webinar as well. Avoid eating or drinking in front of the camera. And as an attendee, always keep your microphone on mute or do not try to create noises in between. And always remember to unmute when speaking. Using a chat window with everyone or a direct message and using reaction buttons or raising hand button can be less disruptive. So it's preferred. So like, as I said, in Zoom, you have these features where you have the raise hand option. You just send the raise hand and the presenter knows that, okay, there is someone who wants to ask a question out here. And always remember to end the meeting by clicking the leave meeting button, because chances are that you just hit back on your phone and this keeps running in your background. The meeting room stays active and you're unnecessarily consuming your bandwidth. So always remember, even when we finish this meeting today, always hit the end button. In this case, it's like that red phone button which you need to click and leave this meeting. So wrapping up, we all know that in this coronavirus situation where we are all stuck or inside our homes, we all are aware that the only thing certain today is the uncertainty. And we all know that the normal, which will even open up probably in 2 weeks from now, will be a new normal. You probably will not go back to the normal that we used to know. So, of course, we can transition through this. Webinars are good tools. Some of the platforms which we spoke about will help us move on in this new normal. Of course, we know our industry is going to suffer big time, but this is the way we will move ahead. Now, concluding thoughts, this is a very good statement that I came across a few days ago. It says that change without continuity is chaos. Continuity without change is loth and very risky. So we need to make sure that our continuity goes on changing. So I would end this session. And of course, here one more thing I would like to add is whenever you end a presentation or a seminar or a webinar, always make sure you put in your details, how to get in touch with you if anybody has questions after this session. Of course, in our case, it's a very different scenario because we are all in touch on Tech Savvy and you can always ask questions or interact there. So with this, I end my webinar and I open the session to any questions or suggestions that you may have.
Chintan, request everybody to unmute their mic, please.
Yes, I will do that. Can everybody please unmute their mics and we can have an interactive session here.
Now we can have a good round of applause for Chintan.
Thank you.
Very good session.
Excellent, sir.
Thank you, Varun.
Chintan, I must admit, after so many webinars that I attended, yours has been very, very effective, to the point, and edited at the right moment. I mean.
Thank you.
Otherwise, the webinars have a tendency to go on and on meaninglessly.
What had happened?
Sorry, Boli Papa.
Yeah, what had happened was I was invited on one webinar, and then the presenter was unable to show slides. बोले आपकी speed कम है, वो बोलते हैं मेरी speed कम है. As rightly Chintan said, मारू mute થઈ ગયું, मारू unmute થઈ ગયું. So I said, Chintan, why don't you do one thing? Have a webinar on presenting webinars. So at least people will, my God, at least people will have some kind of courtesy and manners to, you know, how to behave in the webinars or seminars. Right, Chintan? Thank you.
So yeah, as someone rightly said that some of these webinars, I know there are many product manufacturers also and distributors having a lot of webinars being conducted, which is a very good thing. And we are getting a good product knowledge. Yeah, we are getting good product knowledge. But some webinars are going on really long, as of course, nobody is going anywhere from their homes. Everybody is in a lockdown. But do not exploit that fact that you take it up to 2 hours and 3 hours or 4 hours. Be crisp, be to the point, finish it off as soon as possible. Because eventually, it cannot be very long. An attention span of a person is not more than half an hour to 40 minutes. So I suggest there should be good breaks also in between.
Cocktail break?
Chintan, I would like to ask one question. Yeah, half an hour and 40 minutes is quite enough for participants to be to gain the things, or it should be for 1 hour session like others are having 90-minute session for. So we get bored sometimes.
Yeah, if you see, even
Yeah.
when we go to seminars, I was involved with the Indian Plumbing Association's Mumbai chapter, and I used to be very active in these seminar committees also. And the reason why we always have the seminars of each paper of around 40 minutes to a maximum 1 hour is that's the most a person can, it's like an attention span. That's the most probably someone will like to listen to you unless you're really talking something very interesting. So I think it's always a good idea that finish it off within an hour, not more than that.
Chintan, even in the cocktails, when the I mean presenters or the sponsors take a lot of time in presenting the product. What happens is by the time those bar people start making noise of the glasses and people get diverted to the bar. So yeah,
Exactly.
maximum an hour. Hour is also a boring period, right?
Yes, I think that's actually right.
We need,
Can I say
we need
something?
to we need to improve in this particular section because the sponsors are taking interest in getting the participants, and if they are not going to gain the momentum in this sector,
Right.
and so they will get discouraged and they may opt out for the sponsorships on the let.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree that the sponsor has the complete right because he is the real host, really speaking. The people are coming in the name of a particular association or organization, but it is the sponsor which is giving the money out, right? So the sponsor has a complete right to speak about their product. But as I said, you speak about run for more than 5 minutes, I doubt. So yes, I think when you're talking about technicality, yes, 1 hour is good. But again, you do not want people to just walk out of your sponsorial presentation as well, right?
And Chintan, what happens is if at all anybody is interested in the product, he can talk across the, in
Absolutely.
the bar.
Directly go
Yeah.
and meet the person, talk to them. Right.
Yeah, you can take their
I
business
hope
cards and
people agree to that.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
I believe I just saw
Yeah, yeah.
Sahil.
I
Yeah,
wanted to
Sahil ji
say
is also
something.
here.
Yeah, I wanted to add. Yeah. I'll tell you a couple of things with Microsoft Teams, which has the ability to mask your background. So you
Correct.
can set various backgrounds so that people,
Right.
traveling and those, visuals don't come up. Yeah, what you see here. And one more feature that Microsoft Teams has is it has got two functions. One which you are using now, and there is another function which is called live events.
Right. Right.
So to live events, you can, address one is to maybe 10,000. So that is the ability of
Absolutely.
Teams. Yeah, you can do up to that.
So yeah,
And
good you brought this up.
there is a feature which I recently used. We didn't know about it, but somebody wanted to address the whole organization, and that's how I've searched and I found out. And we could do up to 10,000 people, and you can do a public seminar also, where
Absolutely.
up to 10,000 people can simultaneously speak to. I mean, you can communicate to it, and the rest can happen in a chat box.
Right. Right. So it's a very differentiative term here. What we are synonymously calling webinar is not really a webinar. Right now, what we are holding
Yeah,
is not a webinar.
the meeting.
What we are holding right
The
now is a meeting. There's a difference between a virtual meeting and a virtual webinar. A virtual meeting is something which we are holding right now, up to 100 people, 200 people, 250 people. But a webinar is something where online it is up to 10,000 people. It can be up to 15, 20,000 people as well. But there the feature is very different, right? Right, like right now in this meeting, we are able to interact with each other on an individual level as well. While in a webinar, what happens? The speaker or the host only are the ones who have the presentation controls and they show the screen, while the attendees have no controls at all. There's no mute, unmute. All you can do is just view the screen and disconnect. That's about it. So yeah, thanks for bringing this up. So I see Sahil Kansalji has also joined us from Chandigarh, and I believe he was missed out in the start of the session. Sahilji, would you please introduce yourself and say a few words?
Yeah, hi Chintanji, how are you? I hope
Good, all good.
everything's
All
fine
good.
there. Yeah, I was having some difficulty in joining in earlier. Was connected to my mobile network, then I shifted my network, then it was all fine. And
Right.
first of all, it was a very great presentation, very crisp and short, and very briefly you covered all the platforms which are there, and what is all needs to be done there. It was very nice and very informative. And well, I'm a plumbing and a firefighting design consultant based in Chandigarh. And what else shall I say? In front of actually Deepak ji, I feel very.
I will
I don't
complete
know.
your sentence, dear. I will complete. See, when I had been to Chandigarh, it was first meeting with Sahil, and the kind
Yeah.
of technical knowledge he has, maybe I can say he could be second, third Deepak Daya. Believe me, honestly,
Uh, you
honestly.
you you always put me on cloud nine by saying these words,
You
but
are.
actually no, actually thank you so much, and you always been very kind to me whenever I call you or text you for any help or support. You're always there for me. Thank you so much.
See, when I came from Chandigarh to Mumbai, first thing which I told Chintan, आज मुझे एक सचमुच intelligent consultant मिला था.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I believe most of our question and answers are done. Is there anybody left? Am I missing out anybody? Did I miss out anybody in the introduction? Okay, so I would like to bring this session to an end today, and thank each one of you for taking time off your busy schedules at home and joining this meeting. So, but let me assure you all before we end this that this is just the start of some wonderful sessions which I have planned, and I expect each one of you to be contributing, and we'll be holding more and more webinars in the days to come. Thank you,
So
everybody.
what's the next?
Thank you very much.
What's the next now?
And don't
We
forget
are
to end the
eager.
meeting.
Chintanji, what is the
Yeah.
next plan? What is the next plan now?
We will be having one more. I have lined up another webinar coming up, which most likely will be how to conduct plumbing education on webinars, vocational training of that sort. So
Okay. Yeah.
I'll be holding Varun and some other people I know who are conducting education online. And the Indian Plumbing Skill Association has come up with a wonderful guideline document for plumbers as well, which I'm sure you saw it on Tech Savvy. So I'll be roping in these guys initially to present, and then of course I have a lot of people out here, Pramod ji, Harish bhai, Dad, many people, Sahil ji, all brain banks we have here. So let's pour out whatever we have and share it in these webinars.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Right?
Chintan, thank you so
Yeah.
much. It was really.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chintan.
We are
Thank
going
you.
It was
Thank you.
great.
about the webinar
Bye.
which we never had. We just
He was working on it. So from the moment I told him, कुछ कर भाई ये सब पका रहे हैं तो कुछ कर.
no. This was something
Really.
very different. I
And
think
it is very nice. Very nice
it's
to
a,
know.
it's a new beginning now. This is a new
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah. True.
Thank you, everybody. I'll be sharing this
Now
video
we are,
soon with everybody.
now we are starting a new consultancy firm, how to conduct webinars.
Chalo,
This is the
goodbye,
future.
everybody.
Thank you,
Take care.
guys.
Stay
Thank you.
safe. Stay home.
Bye. Bye.
We are eager to meet you all
Bye.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.